Entonces, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre el subjuntivo y los mandatos? Por ejemplo, en esta actividad, indicando cómo se llega a nuestras casas, cruce, pare, siga, doble. Esos son mandatos, ¿no? ¿Y cómo se dice mandatos en inglés?
Orders.
Orders or commands, right? Mandatos or commands. So, en inglés, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre el subjuntivo y los mandatos, Jorge Guillermo?
Subjunctives are more about nouns, while commands and orders are more about the verbs that we're looking at.
Kind of. I mean, the verbs are more obvious because why?
It's just a
When I
verb.
say, like, turn right, go straight, cross the street, and then continue 3 blocks, and then stop, all of those are what? The subjunctive or commands? Commands, okay? Versus the subjunctive, like, it's necessary that you go straight for, 3 blocks, for example. That's an example of the subjunctive in English. And what's the difference between saying it's necessary that you go straight versus go straight? What's the difference? Subjunctive and commands, what's the difference? Because we saw this in 200 and 201, in chapter 11, I think it was. Or maybe it was 12, actually. It was 12, when we did like the Hogar, Dulce Hogar chapter. What's the difference between it's necessary that you go straight, it's necessary that you turn right, versus turn right? In English, what's the difference? Well, basically, turn right is just short and sweet and direct. The subjunctive is used to, if you will, soften the blow, like make it like, I recommend that you study versus like, Wyatt, study, which is like suggestions versus order, recommendations versus just telling you to do something, okay? So do we have something like this? Absolutely in English. We definitely do. We can be way more direct, way more to the point, way more efficient. I want to give somebody directions in a real life situation using the subjunctive. That would just take forever. Directions are lengthy enough as it is, Following somebody's route needs to be short, sweet, and direct. But just to recycle what we learned in the past, last fall, the commands were presented first, remember? And they were in the context of the chapter with household chores, wash the dishes, clean your room, dust the furniture, short and sweet. And then we learned how to say it a little bit nicer, okay, a little bit softer. So we're revisiting that concept today, like we did last fall. It was initially presented the commands, then we did subjunctive, and now we're going back to commands, okay? And in the commands that we practiced today, and the commands that we practiced last fall, were formal commands. And formal commands simply means what? When we hear the term formal in Spanish, when we reference formality, when we're telling somebody to do something, when we use that classification formal, we're, putting that in the context of talking to whom? When we say formal, like the formal you. Commands are always going to be like second person, unless it's like first person plural we. What's that? Repeat. Formality, right? Like somebody, demonstrating respect. Like Jorge said, parents or grandparents, elderly, right? Or the police, for example, or a doctor. Or this can also be culturally. In Costa Rica, they only use usted. In Colombia, they only use usted. They don't use to, ever, hardly ever. However, in Spain and Mexico, you will hear to, okay? And to, the to form, we have two different types of second person in Spanish. The to form is informal. That's like considered informal. Okay, so we have these two classifications of you. Do we have that in English? A formal you and an informal you that affects the grammar? No. I mean, we demonstrate formality with sir and ma'am in the South, but it doesn't affect the grammar. It doesn't change our verbs. It just polishes what we're saying. So just to clarify, last fall and this morning we were using formal commands. But today we're talking about informal commands. So now we're talking about telling somebody to do something in the to form. Familiarity or culturally, Spain. You're only going to hear the to form in Spain. You're very rarely going to hear the usted form in Spain. Okay? So to start off, do you understand the difference between formality in Spanish? Hopefully you do. It's the difference between ¿Cómo está usted versus ¿Cómo estás? Right? ¿De dónde es usted versus ¿De dónde eres? ¿Cómo te llamas versus ¿Cómo se llama usted? Respect, formality. And now we're going to talk about the to form. Okay, and I'm going to start off with putting it in the context, well, this is what we just talked about. Like, don't forget your lunch, mom talking to child or, roommate talking to other roommate. And I'm going to start off with what not to do. And you'll see why here in a second. Informal commands, and we're going to start with the negative. And the context is en la clase de español, okay? Muchas cosas que tú no debes hacer, what you shouldn't do. Las reglas de la clase de español. No hables inglés. Okay, so what's this saying? No hables inglés. En la clase de español? Don't speak English. Who am I talking to? Am I talking to all y'all? No, I'm talking to one person, like Martin, no hables inglés, or, Zach, no hables inglés. I'm walking around the room, you're talking with your partner, and I'm talking to you, like, individually, no inglés, Nikia, no hables inglés. One person, singular, okay? This is just a one person. Or no escribas mensajes de texto durante la lección. So no escribas is saying what? Don't write text messages, right? Am I telling all y'all? No, just one person, okay? When I told you not to write on the map, because I did use a formal ustedes commands, I said no escriban en los mapas, okay? But let's say I'm walking around, I'm like, EJ, no escribas en el mapa, por favor. I'm being much more specific. Second person singular, la forma de tú. No vayas al baño durante la lección. Vayas es irregular. ¿Cómo se dice no vayas? Don't go to the bathroom. Or págame un peso. No vayas. Irregular. Una persona. No converses con tus compañeros. Cuando yo hablo o otras personas hablan, converses. Conversar, converses. ¿Entienden? So, what do you notice? Bueno, otro ejemplo. No le digas. Otro ejemplo de el mandato informal. No le digas. What's the saying? No le digas.
Don't copy the answer.
Más o menos.
Don't copy their answer.
Close. If I wanted to use copy, which I could have, but it's regular, I would use copiar and no copies. But I'm using this verb. ¿Cómo se dice digas? ¿Cómo se dice digas? Say. So, todos, ¿cómo se dice en inglés? Right, exactly. Don't tell, don't say, don't tell. Dice. ¿Cómo se dice? You know that phrase, you know that question. Dice is in that question. How do you say? Don't say. Don't tell. Decir. Digas. What do we know about digas? Is there anything familiar about digas, tengas, salgas, hagas, pongas, oigas, traigas? What do all those verbs have in common?
Their yo form is irregular.
Their yo form is irregular. So we're still going to the yo, dropping the o and changing it to the opposite of what we know. No pongas, tus zapatos en la mesa or something like that. So digas is irregular in the yo form. And so our negative to command is just like the subjunctive. Very similar to those formal commands. So the nice thing about chapter 4 so far is the verb conjugations. The context is different, but you're really not even having to learn any new verb conjugations. We'll do that in 15 and 16. Or no hagas tu trabajo. And Google Translate. Otro ejemplo. Hacer. Yo hago. No hagas. Don't what? Don't. ¿Cómo se dice hacer? Do. Don't do what? Your work. Y miren, chicos, tu trabajo. No su trabajo, tu trabajo. Okay, so make sure everything is consistent. So to form a negative to command, it's what we've been doing all along. Go to the O, drop the O, change it to the opposite of what you know. It's just like the subjunctive in the to form. So do you have to learn anything new grammatically? Absolutely not. Okay? However, the context is different. If you're telling somebody that you know, or you're in Spain or Mexico maybe, and you're giving them instructions about on a map, and you're like, don't go right, go left, no dobles a la derecha. Okay? So nothing new, context is different. And so we have verbs that are irregular in the yo form. Muchos, no. No vengas a la fiesta. Let's say you're like a mean girl. And you're like, no vengas a la fiesta. No vengas a mi fiesta. Don't what? Don't come to my party. Right, exactly. Exclusive, catty behavior. That's how you do it. In Espanol. No saques la basura. Let's say like you're in love with Cecilia and she's your roommate. You're like, Cecilia, no saques la basura. Yo saco la basura por ti. Okay? Saques, sacar. We've got the car verb, the QU change. We talked about cruzar. We've talked about pagar. We don't have an instruction verb that really works with this, but if you don't want somebody to play with you or something, no juegues or no toques, no cruzas, conduzcas, almuerces. But in this chapter, we talked about cruzar would be a better example. No cruces. La calle, you're like with a friend and they're not paying attention to the traffic and they're about to step out and a car's going to be like, no cruces la calle. Cuidado. Okay? Sepas, etc. Seas, veas, etc. So all of our irregulars are the same. And our pronoun placement is consistent with what we know about where pronouns go. They always go before the conjugative verb unless you're telling somebody to do something. No le digas las respuestas, okay? The pronouns come before the conjugative verb. This is a review of everything that we've learned so far. Nothing new, okay? Y no vamos a practicarlos porque quiero repasar los mandatos afirmativos. So now I'm switching gears and I'm kind of going backwards. I told you what not to do, how to form a command telling somebody not to do. I forgot to put up our little expression, but I'll add to it. This is a really good expression in Spanish. You hear it all the time. It doesn't mean, oh no, she didn't, but this is what you say when somebody tells you like some crazy gossip and you're like, oh, for real? No me digas. No me digas is really saying what?
Don't talk to me.
Don't, ¿cómo se dice?
Tell me.
Don't tell me. It's not exactly like no,
So
she
it's like-
didn't, or for real.
They're like, don't tell me that. Or
Don't even tell me she did. You know, like it's in that context. No me digas. So if you use it in play, I'll give you an extra peso. Dos pesos. So let's look at rápidamente. Let's look at how to form informal commands. Remember, you're talking to one person that you know well. You're in Mexico or Spain or something like that. Habla español, okay? Speak Spanish, right? Hablar. La forma de tú de hablar, like you speak Spanish, hablas español, no? Has an S on it. But when I tell you to speak Spanish, I simply did what?
Third person.
Third person. It's like the usted form, but it's a command context, okay? I'm talking to you directly, like, Wyatt, habla español, por favor, okay? Pick on Wyatt today, because I know he can handle it. Escribe. Again, so the verb escribir, I just put it in the to form and drop the S, right? Escribe. Oraciones, originales. Haz la tarea del supersitio, chicos. Irregular. Haz. ¿Cómo se dice haz?
Hacer.
Hacer. Es completamente irregular. This is just, you have to memorize it, but you'll notice the pattern here in a second. So what's this saying? Haz la tarea del supersitio.
Do your homework.
Do your homework. Haz la tarea. Ve al laboratorio de CSL.
See the laboratorio. See the-
What verb is ve? Not see, but go. Go. Ir. Irregular. You just have to memorize that. Participa. Llega. It's a gar verb. But in the affirmative too, telling somebody to do something, like if Brooks were here, I'd say, Brooks, llega a clase a tiempo. Or I would just say, Brooks, ven a clase. And I hope he listens to this since he isn't here. And I would say, today, I'd say, Brooks, ven a clase. So normally, we'd say venga. But I know Brooks well, and I'm going to use a to form with him, so I'd say ben. And Ben is saying what? What am I telling him? Is he here today? Come to class. So as, then, the go verbs, and I'm going to fast forward time. The go verbs, well, basically it's the to form without the S. The go verbs. Pon, sal, ven, ten paciencia. Chill out. Ten paciencia. It's just like the go verb, except for you drop what? The go. So go to the yo, tengo, and drop the go. Ten, pon, sal, Brooks, then a clase. Tenemos pronouns. Calmate. Have you ever heard cállate? Cállate is a to command, meaning be quiet. Shut up. It's reflexive. Callarse. The te goes on the end. Like levántate, siéntate, cállate. It goes on the end of the command, and you have to add that accent mark on the second to last syllable.